Pioneer Valley Planning Commission today released their 2015 Plan for Progress, targeting what's needed to make our region prosper into the future. Tonight, we begin a series of 4 discussions about the Plan for Progress. The first topic, talent. How to be sure we have the educated workforce needed to compete. Our guests are Jason Irizarry, Director of the UMass Institute for Urban Education, Sally Fuller, Davis Foundation Project Director for Reading Success by Grade 4, and Tim Brennan, Executive Director of the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission.
I think of it as sort of the region's business plan. How do we succeed going forward? How do we tackle the challenges? How do we chase the opportunities? Talent is job one. It's no longer tax breaks or raw materials. It's really the talent you have or don't have. And it has 2 dimensions, just the supply of talent, workers, and then, as importantly, the skills they have or don't have. And so in a sense, we flip from a lot of old styles of strategies to education sort of universally being the most important economic development strategy, bar none.
Reading Success by Grade 4, the Davis Foundation has been so dedicated to this and similar kinds of initiatives for so long. And I said a few minutes ago to you, it's about getting to kids right away. Even before kindergarten, you said, oh, way earlier than that.
Way earlier than that, at birth. It starts at birth. I mean, 85% of a child's brain is developed in the first 5 years of life. So that fact, coupled with the fact that we have about only half the children in our community have access to preschool, really tells us that we have a great deal of work to do. And the work is the economic development. James Heckman talks about the development of human capital, that it starts at birth with children's brain development. And when we can get them into preschool, we're really developing their soft skills. We're developing a lot of the skills that they need in order to be successful, college, career, whatever. So it starts at birth, and we didn't always think about it that way.
Jason Irizarry, my apologies for getting to you a couple of minutes into the conversation, but Director of the Institute for Urban Education at UMass in Amherst. So you're looking at how is it working, where the rubber meets the road. And it's tough because we know kids anywhere, but especially in our urban core areas, come to school with a lot on their plates, and sometimes not much on the plate, literally. They're coming in hungry, they're coming in from difficult situations, and you've got to, with all that in mind, to keep this area healthy and growing, we've got to make sure that they're achieving educationally and that graduation rates, which are not so great in some of our communities, are going up. Wow, what a job.
Yeah, so some work to do. I think, I'm really fortunate the University of Massachusetts Amherst takes its land grant mission really seriously and trying to partner more seamlessly in our work through the College of Education with our urban school districts, and we've made some headway there. I think the key is really to start thinking about what students actually do bring to school and think about asset-based approaches, particularly in urban communities. Oftentimes the curriculum is really shifted, I found in my work, to be really skill and drill and really test prep oriented, which is alienating a lot of young people from school and not really fomenting a love of learning with a more rich, developed curriculum that includes the arts and other things as well. And so I think the graduation rates kind of are attributed to some of that. And then also I think it's important to note that even young people that graduate, there's a large percentage of students who graduate from our schools that are woefully underprepared to meet the rigors of higher education, particularly at a 4-year institution. And so how might we push into these schools to partner more seamlessly to think about how we improve the educational experiences and outcomes for young people so that they put them on a trajectory that leads to college and then ideally back to jobs in this area as well.
And I gotta tell you, it starts with reading. I mean, it's our message, and what we keep hearing over and over again is children, high school graduates, when they get to go into college, they can't read, they can't write well. Those are so fundamental. And so even though you might say, why are we talking about early education and early literacy? Why are we doing it? It's because we want to get kids ready. We don't want to have to remediate them when they get into college and this reading stuff. Excuse me, but I had to get in that commercial message.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tim Brennan, we've got groups like Mass Business Alliance for Education. We've got the local Springfield business community very involved and really looking at how to help the education levels from kindergarten and younger on up through higher ed. We've got Governor Baker appointing a work skills cabinet aiming at, I think, the vocational technical high schools and the community colleges to make sure what they're training people for matches up to what the industries in the region need. It seems like we know what we got to do. The hard part is getting to do it.
Yeah, and this is the transition for planners where the planning is done, it's now doing, and then measuring how we're doing. So one of the things we're trying to do is enlist the implementers. We sort of the maker and keeper of the plan, and we have some strategies that actually the Planning Commission holds on to, infrastructure, cleanup of the Connecticut River. But we need to depend on groups like the Davis Foundation and the universities and the community colleges and the regional employment boards, this whole sea of implementers, but all playing as a team, all aligned with a goal. And again, talent is at the top of the list.
Jason Irizarry, dream the dream for us a little bit, if you will. More than anything else, what do we need? What can we do? What do we need to get together on to make this happen, to have the talent, to develop the talent, to make our kids ready for the global economy in the years ahead?
So, you know, I'm going to draw from some of the research that I've done with young people. I think some of the things that young people are asking for is to be engaged in a curriculum that builds on and teaches through some of the assets that they bring with them into the classroom. I think literacy is really important. Many of these young people are literate when they come to us, but not necessarily fluent in standard American English, right? And so how do we build on what they actually bring with them into the classroom to teach to and through those experiences, which is basic learning theory, right? John Dewey espoused this so long ago. And so I think if we can make our curriculum more culturally responsive, that really challenges them academically, that really is of interest. You know, it's funny, I was a child who hated reading until I started reading books about my own experience, and now I write books. And what translated, right, what happened was I started to read books that I connected with, and that love of learning then translates. And so for so many young people, quite honestly, they never get the chance to engage with texts that, you know, demonstrate knowledge of their communities, that portray families like their own and situations like their own. And so I think that, oftentimes there's a disconnect between what we're offering young people and what I think would get them to really engage at a really high, deep level that would lead to academic success.
So much more to talk about. I wish we had so much more time. Jason Irizarry, Sally Fuller, Tim Brennan, thank you all for coming in and getting us started in our conversation about the 2015 Plan for Progress.
Thank you.
Thank you.